This is Kanzenshuu, the podcast, episode 459 for the week of November 18th, 2018. Hello, welcome back to Kanzenshuu,
the podcast,
an extension of the all-encompassing Dragon Ball fan site,
Kanzenshuu.
That's right, we bring you the top 10 anything and everything Dragon Balls in hopes of enlightening and a little bit of entertaining. My name is Mike. You may see me around as Vegito EX, joining me here in person, locally on the microphone, coming down for Anime NYC, which I'll hear about hopefully next week. But in the meantime, Julian, sir, hello.
Yes, I am here.
Good times.
Indeed.
All right.
My voice is very nice and deep from talking loud.
We've warmed up a little bit, yeah.
Yes.
Julian, this week on the show, actually requested, but something I wanted to do anyway, but I wanted to wait until you were here to do this. We are talking about the Dragon Ball Mook that was released recently here in November 2018.
Yes.
We're going to take a look through the book. We're going to tell you about the top 10 best scenes as selected by fans. And there's a dissection of Son Goku there in the book. We're going to break everything down for you. So if you want to pick up a cheap book and kind of read along at home, we got you covered here. That's what's on tap of this episode. Again, we said Anime NYC is happening. We actually just got back from it. So we have a lot of production still to do on that episode. So hopefully you can tune into that next week. Seems what the plan is going to be. We'll let you know. Follow us along on the social medias and stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, let's jump right on into the magazine, the book, the Mook. Julian, I guess let's first break down what is a Mook. We've had some of this before with Dragon Ball. Actually, the series' first guidebook, the Adventure Special, the Boken Special, that was a Mook. We've had the Dragon Ball Super Start Guide. That was a Mook. Now we have the Jump Best Scene Top 10. What is a Mook, according to Shueisha in Japan?
So it's basically a book that's sort of magazine format, and it's basically treated as a magazine. Some of them do technically have ISBNs, but they're basically put out to go on newsstands, and when they're gone, they're gone. That's it. They don't have like subsequent print runs unless they're particularly special.
Yeah, if you didn't get it when it came out, you're kind of boned going on the secondhand market.
Right? Depends on if people want to get rid of it or not. Right.
So right now, you can actually still buy it. I don't know, by the time this episode comes out within a day or so, that may actually change. I mean, these things, they come and go. So if you want it, you got to grab it when it comes out. All right, so let's jump into this one. This is actually a line that's been going for a little bit. Here in front of you, I have the Dragon Ball one. I have the Fist of the North Star one. I just like doing little comparisons between things. They've done a Yu Yu Hakusho one. I believe there was a Kinnikuman one as well. So they've been doing the series for a little bit now. And we have the Dragon Ball one. So the point of it is that fans have voted on their top 10 scenes. It's actually not the top 10 fights, as we're going to see here in Dragon Ball. One of them is not a fight. It's a genuine scene from the series, as it is Dragon Ball, though many of them end up being fights, even from earlier in the series.
Right. And it says this is sort of to celebrate both the 50th anniversary of Jump as well as the upcoming release of Dragon Ball Super Broly.
Yes, I guess we can say as you open the book, you're treated to the typical promotions for things. We have the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. We have fighters. Hey, we sold lots of copies. Check it out. We have heroes. Hey, we're on our 8th anniversary. It's,
pretty much. Yep. Now, the inside cover and also the inside back cover both have images of Dragon Ball on the cover of Weekly Shonen Jump, just to remind you about, hey, this is the magazine, in case you didn't notice from the cover.
I guess we can say that this particular Mook release is styled as a Weekly Shonen Jump issue in many ways.
Yes, it uses like almost the same quality paper, maybe a little bit better, but not by much.
Yeah.
And it's very much the same thing. You've got a poster in the front from one of the chapters that's included therein. It's the title page for chapter 323. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yep.
And then you just get right into things.
All right, so we're going to go through it. Julian, there are top 10 scenes here, and then in the middle, there's a dissection of Son Goku. 7 kind of breakdowns of the character and his various aspects. I think what we'll do is we'll go through the top 10 scenes, and then we'll go back to the dissection, talk a little bit about what they say in there and what they have to say for Goku. Let's work our way backwards. Actually, flip to the back, which for many Western people is going to be the front of the book, and go in that order. Julian, number 10 as voted by fans in this nebulous voting. I don't actually know what the voting procedure was for all of these.
Yes.
The Dragon World will continue on forever. We have chapter 519, the very end of Dragon Ball's original serialization, printed in black and white here as opposed to the original printing. And speaking of versus the original printing, this is the Kanzenban version of chapter 519, and that's in contrast to not just the original release, but actually the digest edition release. So I guess give us the breakdown on what the differences are here.
So in the original version, which is present in Shonen Jump and also in the original smaller volumes in Japan, the Tankobon, it has Goku flying off with Oob on his back, and then there's a narration about how the Earth will be safe because they've always got the Dragon Balls, and then it ends with a goodbye image and a message from Akira Toriyama.
Right.
Now, the Kanzenban version, which was the revised version put out in 2004 in the Kanzenban with the red covers in Japan, he starts off by flying off with Oob, but then he calls Kintoun, the cloud, and has Oob ride on it. And there's a brief moment where it recalls Goku as a child riding on it as well. They fly off towards the horizon, and in the final narration it says that Earth will be safe because there are strong guys on it. Focusing back on the people.
Right.
Now, and then the final ending, instead of Toriyama's message, it has a Vegeta giving a renewed vow that one day he will defeat him.
Right. And so here in the top 10 book here, the Mook, sorry, I call it the Mook, not the book, we have the Kanzenban version as is. The digest edition was mostly the Kanzenban version, but it seems like it got rid of the Vegeta message in favor of the original version there, right?
Yeah, so it's kind of a kludge. To be honest, since it was the digest version, I would have preferred that they left it as it was in Jump.
Yeah,
but obviously they didn't do that.
We're very curious what their masters are for the manga at this point. Like, clearly they keep the Tankobon back in print, and it seems like we're back to that being the default version now.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Who knows what they have. All right, so that was the number 10 scene. Let's keep going. The number 9 scene, as voted by fans. The first wish to the dragon is for what? We have chapter 20 here.
So this is the chapter where Oolong makes his fateful wish to the dragon for a gal's panties.
Not much to say there. That's what happens.
Yep. That's true.
We're toward the end of the Pilaf arc here, and it's pretty good. I mean, it's a significant moment. The first wish that we see on screen on the page.
Yep, it's the climactic moment, or so we think at that point in the first arc, until things take a turn for the monstrous.
No, what are you talking about? The series ends right here. This is what Toriyama always intended.
Sure.
All right, we'll move on. The number 8 scene, as voted by fans. There's a lot of exploding here. Exploding in rage, the explosive birth of the legendary Super Saiyan. We have chapters 317 and 318.
Yes, so the first appearance of the Super Saiyan, who's been talked up for quite a bit by this point, but finally we get to see it as Goku snaps in rage at the death of his friend Kuririn.
Working our way backwards here, this is, I mean, obviously you're going. I thought it was kind of strange that they went from number 1 to number 10 as opposed to the way we're doing it here.
Yeah.
But the way we're doing it, this is the first example where we have multiple chapters. We have 2 chapters here.
Yes, so it's the Goku becomes a Super Saiyan towards the end of chapter 317, and then he starts his battle in earnest with Frieza the next chapter in.
There's some amazing panel work in these chapters here.
Yes.
It's good stuff. All
looking through, you kind of want to just keep reading. So if you excuse me for just a minute.
Julian's very distracted over here. All right, let's jump to the number 7 scene, Gags in Earnest. Gotenks' fighting style. We have another 2 chapters here.
Yes.
490 and 491.
So this is Gotenks fighting against Boo in the Room of Spirit and Time, Seishin Totoki no Hea. And he's doing all these dumb kind of moves. He's got his Galactica donut. That doesn't work. And he's...
Insert blank. That doesn't work.
Yep. Super Ghost Kamikaze Attack.
Yes.
That also doesn't work.
No, Boo incorporates that into his own fighting style later on. So, hey, maybe he thought it was somewhat effective, even if it didn't totally work.
Maybe.
It's good stuff here. I mean, Gotenks is very inventive as a character.
Yes.
And I feel like from Toriyama as well, is kind of an inventive character. Yeah. The stuff he does with him there.
It kind of takes apart the idea of the flashy finishing moves. Are those really going to work?
Well, he does that with Gotenks, and he does that with Mr. Satan as well, with all these named attacks that ultimately amount to nothing.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. All right, so moving on to number 6, we have Goku versus Ma Jr., who will take the throne of the number 1 under the heavens. Now, there are 2 chapters, 192 and 193, toward the end of the tournament here.
Yes, this is the climax.
Oh, my God, that Goku there on the page, the wounded, just like full title page. Oh!
And in fact, the second of these 2 chapters is actually called The Climax of the Tenkaichi Budokai, the high point. Yes, so this is Goku seeming like he has won the tournament, only Piccolo still has a few things up his sleeve. Will Goku be able to avoid being killed, and can he still win the tournament? I think you know the answer, but it's great reading.
I think I've told this before, but my first fan subs of the first TV series were actually the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai. I got to see that. I had one particular episode that fades out to audio only, and it didn't matter because it was the best thing in the world to be able to listen to it at that point. So I have a lot of fondness for this particular section of the series. I think it's wonderful on its own anyway. And then when Mary and I were a part of the ongoing DDR Megamix AMV projects, we were selected/chose for Enter the Dragon from DDR. Well, technically, I think that was in DDR 4th mix or 5th mix, and then it was on the 4th mix Megamix soundtrack. I forget how. No, it was on the 5th mix soundtracks, but it was from 4th Plus. Anyway, we chose the 23rd Budokai to do our AMV for that.
Oh, I remember that one, yeah.
It's an awesome track. Jeff makes an appearance in that video, by the way.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he's in there. The ongoing joke throughout that entire AMV project was Shane, who was went under Kusayaro Productions, was over at our apartment one day, and we filmed him playing DDR. And the one particular section that we got was him and Jeff, and we sent that around to all of our friends who were in the project, and everyone did their best to incorporate somewhere footage of Shane playing DDR. And so because Jeff happened to be in there at the same time, our section it's like this tunnel going on with 2 panels on either side of the screen coming towards you.
Yeah.
And the very last panel on the very last second is Jeff and Shane playing DDR on there. So look forward to that. Look for our Enter the Dragon video out there somewhere. Has nothing to do with this Mook.
No. I'm only mildly disappointed they didn't include the chapter before this one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not quite as dramatic, but that very end shot where he's giving a thumbs up, then all of a sudden he gets speared through the shoulder. It's so just good. A shock.
This entire section of the series is some of the best choreography on the page, and that was incorporated into the anime as well. So it's amazing stuff. All right, we got to move on. Number 5, a full force attack explodes on Demon King Piccolo. We have chapters 160 and 161. So we're going from Piccolo Jr. to Daddy-O Piccolo here.
So Goku is in dire straits. Since Goku refuses, he uses some rocks to basically destroy all but one of Goku's limbs. And yet he still finds a way to defeat and goes straight through Piccolo.
Yeah, one of the most iconic shots from the entire series here has been referenced and reused so many times. It's that full page explosion that you just flip past is some of the best work that Toriyama has done. Toriyama can do something where it's just an explosion on a page. I'm even thinking too when Namek explodes and we have just like space particles on the page. You feel the force of all of that from his art.
Yeah. It's almost as though he doesn't go out of his way to make it look like, oh, big explosion. I mean, sometimes he does that in the background or whatever. But it's like he makes it almost feel sort of serene and silent. Yeah. And then it's the aftermath where you feel the impact.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a master of his craft at work on the page. It's phenomenal. And you can totally see why people are voting this some of the best stuff ever.
Yeah.
I think this is a wonderful choice. Number 4, the strongest warrior ever, Vegito, chapters 503 and 504 here.
Yes, so in the face of a massively powered up Majin Buu who has absorbed everybody.
Right, or killed.
Or killed, yes. So Goku needs someone to fuse with because, oops, Gohan got...
I got it! Mr. Satan, let's go!
And Tenshinhan is down, so he's not an option. So Vegeta suddenly appears, and you know what? I guess they've got to do it, and so they do.
Yosha! Oh, so good.
Yep. And then it turns out that indeed Boo is outmatched by this foe, except that he keeps not actually finishing it.
Right. An ongoing trend in our fusion characters. Or will it be in the future of the franchise? And by future, I mean currentness of the franchise. Anyway, I love Vegito, particularly in the manga. In the anime, we get, if you will, base Vegito kind of toying around with Boo for a longer period of time. But here in the manga, he fuses and he's like, no, we're just going Super Saiyan. Let's do this.
Absolutely. Doesn't even bother to go 3. He's just like, yeah, I can take him.
Well, Julian, the Kanzenshuu says that Vegito's Super Saiyan is equivalent to Super Saiyan 3 in power.
Okay.
So. All right, so I guess we'll move on because I could spend forever talking about Vegito, even though he's barely around. Number 3, the key to defeating Vegeta is the Genki Dama. Julian, we have chapters 236, 237, and 238. Now, however, 237 is a color chapter, but we only get it here in black and white.
That's correct. Only the... Well, we'll get there, but only the number 1 first chapter that's full color gets to be in color.
Right. But we get 3 chapters here, and for us going backwards, this is the first time we're seeing 3 chapters. A lot of material to cover.
So by this point, almost everybody's down. Gohan is fighting hopelessly against Vegeta because Goku is on the ground. Kuririn is barely hanging on, but he gets the energy for the Genki Dama from Goku. And
he defeats Vegeta, and everyone goes home happy, and the arc is over. The series is over. That's what happened. I saw that on TV.
Sure. So what actually happens is Vegeta dodges it, but Gohan is able to reflect it because he has a pure heart.
Yes.
And so Vegeta gets hit.
Also, everyone has telepathy, and they don't use it often enough.
Yes, somehow. It's not explained exactly.
Well, when Goku gets an Nama, he's like, I guess I can do this. I'm going to read all your thoughts now.
I don't know how I did it, but okay.
I love the Saiyan arc. I think it's a perfect culmination of everything that's come before, especially when you look at something like the Ma Junior fight, the 23rd Budokai. The way the choreography is there, I think there's, we start getting into the gigantic ki blasts here in the Saiyan arc, but I think some of the choreography in the Goku versus Vegeta fight is equally amazing. Some of that carries over into the TV series as well when he's got the Kaioken going on. We have like the A++ teams going on that.
Yeah, and this is really the first point in the series where you have this major fight and like everybody's either dead or down for the count.
Right.
It seems absolutely hopeless.
I mean, it feels that way a little bit with Demon King Piccolo. I mean, we have multiple people that are dead at that point. He's got Tenshin Han's head in his massive hand. But the Saiyan arc in particular, I mean, everyone's dead. They're gone.
Yeah.
We don't have Dragon Balls anymore.
Yes.
Like, shit's bad.
Vegeta doesn't want to take over the world. He just wants to kill everybody.
Yeah. It's an awesome part of the series that I absolutely adore. And here we are at the number 3 scene with 3 chapters here. Takes us to number 2, the Son Father and Son versus Cell Ultimate Kamehameha. We have chapters 415, 416, and 417. Another absolutely iconic part of the series, for sure.
Yes, so Gohan has taken the blow for Vegeta, sparing his life, but as a consequence, his one arm is useless, and
Cell's back and full powered and perfect, and again, you want to talk about shit's bad.
Yeah, so he does sort of this hopeless Kamehameha, but as he is firing it and it seems like he is being pushed back, it seems as though he feels the power of his father behind it, and we even get this sort of ghostly image of Goku behind it. And that is just a stunning panel, and that is what does the trick, and it goes into the next chapter, of course.
So
but the struggle ends, and once again, we see Goku pushing behind it, and it overcomes Cell, and basically disintegrates him into molecules, atoms.
All right, Julian, number 1, I think everyone probably knows what it's going to be.
Because I mentioned the poster at the beginning.
Yes, the number 1 scene in Dragon Ball as chosen by fans, and at least published here by Shueisha, whether they intended to do this or not, and I'm sure there's a little bit of both here. The Emperor of the Universe, Frieza, versus Son Goku. We have 3 chapters. Yes. We have 323, 324, 325, 323 presented here in its full color.
Yes. And so the title page of that chapter is a poster at the beginning, and a few pages later you get into the chapter itself, and it's just some beautiful work, and you really see Goku just utterly dominating against Frieza at this point.
Yeah.
And Frieza tries to get the upper hand through trickery, but unfortunately it backfires.
I think this is a good choice for number one. It makes sense, especially in conjunction with the amount of color that they can show off for the one chapter there.
Yes.
Good stuff all around. All right, let's talk about the material in between. Yeah, we have these top 10 scenes, but in between some of the chapters, we have this dissection of Son Goku. So now we're going to work proper order forward through the magazine. Julian, we start with a little look at Son Goku's family tree.
Yes, so there's a little diagram showing his relationship to other people who are connected to him, and we get a little bit of aspects of his personality, his connections to his family, like he was lucky to have been sent to another planet soon after his birth. Although he's kind to his family, he doesn't really get children's thoughts. And he doesn't come home very often. Things like that. And it gives a couple of anecdotes regarding his family, like his reunion with Son Gohan, the elder, and the fact that his brother is a world-destroying monster, and his first meeting with his second son, Goten.
All right, so the next one up here is Son Goku and his rivals.
Yes, indeed. So
it's got a few of those.
Yes, so it gives a brief overview of the various people he's fought against, basically. Some of them are just names, and the big ones are shown as illustrations, including the big three towards the end of the series, but also Piccolo and Vegeta and Demon King Piccolo and Ten Shinhan at one point. Even Jackie Chun, and those ones that are illustrated also talk a little about his fights with them. And down towards the bottom, it talks a little bit about Goku's attitude in his fights. For example, he gets excited about fighting, so he really enjoys a strong opponent.
Waku Waku, yes.
Yes, but he is not set on killing his opponents if he doesn't have to. Goku becomes number one through his many fights where he puts his life on the line. So, and then it gives a couple of episodes, like his first defeat at the hands of Tao Pai Pai. I guess Yamcha technically beat him early on.
Yeah,
but
I suppose.
He was hungry.
And Jackie Chun beat him too. So.
Yeah, but this is like life or death.
Yeah, okay. Well, Yamcha thought it was life or death.
Yeah, Piccolo and Goku tag team for their first fight against an alien that they know of.
Oh yeah, Garlic Jr., of course.
Sure. And finally, his eternal rival, Vegeta, accepts him towards the end of the series.
Right. All right, if we talk about rivals, we have to talk about allies. And well, rivals and allies may actually cross over and intersect at points.
Yes. But this talks about various people in his life, like Kuririn, Piccolo, even Ulon and Puar, Bulma, Mr. Satan, Kaioshin, and Dende.
Yeah, there's a lot of people there. A lot of people have helped him over time, either directly or indirectly.
So it talks about how Goku's innocence and his lightheartedness just attract people towards him. They provide important support even outside of battles. And then there's a couple of it.
You say that, I'm thinking like Stars games on DS where Dende's like
not that kind of support.
The Senzu is a support character.
Oh boy.
All right, well, we move on to Son Goku and his special move, Hisatsuwaza.
Okay, yes. So we have a list, well, not a list, but a brief overview of his most important attacks. Like, for example, his melee attacks, which is the Janken, the rock, paper, scissors fist.
Right.
The Genki, and then Genki Dama, and Kamehameha and Kaioken. And then talking about, this is a strengthening thing, is the Kaioken, as well as fusion. And then, of course, there is a support technique, which is Shunkanido, or teleportation.
Right.
And talks a little bit about how he's able to just imitate other people and manages to be able to use them for the first time.
I was going to say, we have the Kamehameha, we have the Taioken, we have the Kienzan even.
Right. He's able to apply these techniques in novel ways, like shooting from his feet when he needs to.
Yeah, you want to talk about variations on techniques? I have a one Mr. Detective X who would love to talk to you about documenting this stuff for the wiki.
Poor guy.
He's doing a great job.
Well, that's good. Okay, so moving on.
We have Son Goku and his masters, of which there are many at this point.
So these are the people who have taught him many things in his life. And for example, there's Kame Sennin, Karin, God and Mr. Popo, and Kaio, or the Northern Kaio. And it also talks about a few other people who we don't really see them giving him training, but the Elder Son Gohan and the Yardrat people.
I believe you mean Soba from the PlayStation 2, Xbox, and Nintendo GameCube video game Dragon Ball Z Sagas.
Sure.
Sorry, I've been writing some character wiki entries, and there's a lot on my mind right now. So, I mean, his masters are who they are.
Yep.
We move on to Son Goku, kind of related, and his training.
Yes, indeed. And it showcases three aspects of his training. Training his heart, showing his resting and his eating. And his
That's important training, let me tell you.
Then his training his technique through learning to empty his mind and learning how to control the Genki Dama. And then finally training his body through, for example, heavy weights.
Or
and
destroying yourself
gravity.
in space. Well, that takes us to the final Son Goku dissection, his dialogue. I love this stuff.
Yes, so some of the most important lines that...
All right, you got to do your best impressions here. Give us some of the top ones they list here.
So he's fighting against Frieza, and he's getting like provocative, trying to egg him on.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's like, you just try. And he with a smirk on his face. And Frieza's like, ah!
You can totally picture the delivery there.
Nanyo!
What else we got?
The next one is he likes battle too much. And so putting... the peace of the world on the line in order to have a good fight, or he has to obtain peace through fighting. He can't just like get rid of the bad guys ahead of time. It's like, 悪い正直言って俺も盾書いてそれによその科学者今はまだ何にも作ってねえだろうにやっつけるのとはなってのはな. So I'm sorry. I also want to fight, and to be honest, that scientist hasn't really done anything bad yet. So
that's the paradox about knowing the future: is do you punish people for what they haven't done yet?
That's true.
Although at this point he's clearly doing bad stuff.
I mean, he already made number 8.
Yeah, he's already done all of this.
And then the next example they give is when he starts out on Kaio's planet, where he's just going, ooh, oh, oh, ooh, oh, oh. Following around.
That's really some of the best dialogue from Son Goku in Dragon Ball. All right.
Yep, just following around bubbles.
Okay.
The last part is when he gets to be an adult, he also has a few risque lines. その能力ならよ、魔人ブーに勝てるかな。まあ絶対とは言えんがいけると思うな. So he's wondering if that technique can succeed against Majin Buu, and that's to draw out Gohan's power. And it doesn't show the panel here, but is going to let the Elder Kaioshin touch Bulma's naughty parts.
Right. Good stuff. So between the top 10 scenes and the 7-part dissection of Son Goku, that's kind of an overview of what we have in here. Julian, there's no Toriyama interview. There's no really like extra important information in here, which kind of leads to the final question on this Dragon Ball Jump Best Scene Top 10 book, which just came out, which is only about $5-6. Is it worth owning? You look at this, it's weekly jump sized, it's just chapters, and some of the information there, it doesn't give you anything new. If you're just a regular person into this series, unlike even the Adventure Special, which has reprints of Dragon Ball prototype works and really cool columns in it, unlike the Super Start Guide for Dragon Ball Super, which at the time gave us preview looks at things and even some like pictures of scripts and that kind of stuff.
Mystery characters.
Right. I feel like this doesn't really offer you much. It's the definition of a throwaway newsstand magazine.
Kind of, yeah. If you don't have these chapters already, it's kind of nice. You get like some of the real highlights of the series in one spot.
Sure.
And if that fits... And if that describes you, then perhaps this is something you might like to pick up. If you already have the material inside, it's not really going to give you anything you don't already have.
Yeah.
So unless you just really want the convenience of having all that in just one easy to pick up thing, then you might want to skip it.
Yeah, and it's a fragile magazine. I mean, like, even the front cover is not the best paper.
Everything is like Shonen Jump, basically.
Yeah. So I can't necessarily recommend picking this up, and I'm someone who orders everything, and I have a second copy on the way because, well, I mean, they're so limited. I should have a backup version of things. That's how I justify it to myself. I don't know. I can't really recommend it, but it's also so cheap that if you're, especially right now as Amazon Japan has changed some of their ordering stipulations where V-Jump is now an add-on item. If you need something like right now these days to throw into an order to kind of get things above a necessary price level, you can't necessarily go wrong with something like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It's just stuff that you may have seen before.
Yeah, it's big, it's bulky, it takes up space. So if space is a factor, and looking around this room, space is a factor right now.
Yep. I think you're going to need sturdier shelves, Mike.
I need sturdier shelves. I need more of them, too, at this point. Things are collapsing and falling, and it's a death trap waiting to happen. Why don't you scoot a little closer to that shelf there?
Gee, thanks, Mike.
We'll see what happens here. All right, Julian, that was the Dragon Ball Jump Best Seen Top 10 Mook that came out in November 2018. Available now in limited quantities. If you want it, order it. Of course, we include links with every podcast episode, so if anyone still has it available at this point, just check out the website. We'll have links to purchase it there. That's going to bring this episode of our podcast to a close. www.kanzenshuu.com. That is Kanzenshuu.com. It's going to bring this episode of our podcast 459 to a close here in November 2018. We have some great stuff in store for you the rest of the year. Hopefully the next episode is going to be one of the best things we've ever done. I'm very excited for that. And if it's not next week, well, just stay tuned. It's definitely coming your way in the very near future. I have been Mike. That has been Julian. Again, this episode is over. Thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. Julian, sir, wrap things up.
Thank you for listening to this week's edition of Kanzenshuu, the podcast. We'll catch you next time.